Now here to discuss the Republican response to the governor's budget proposal is the co-chair of the Joint Finance Committee, Representative Mark Bourne. First off, thanks so much for joining us here, Representative.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so are Republicans in the legislature just planning to again essentially scrap this proposal from the governor and rewrite their own budget proposal?
We will start from a base budget like we did last time, which means current law, and build a budget from there. The proposal the governor put forward earlier this week just is not workable. It's really built on sand. It has reckless levels of spending, has tax increases, welfare expansion, and things that build the budget that just are not something that makes sense moving forward. Far too much growing government, new agencies, new programs, and so we'll start from a base budget and build a budget from there that invests in Wisconsin priorities, and especially during this time of high inflation, with tax reform, return some of the money to taxpayers.
You just mentioned returning some money to taxpayers. Both sides want tax cuts here. There's obviously disagreement on how to get there. Are you willing to even consider the governor's 10% proposal?
Well, the governor does some tax cuts in a limited area, and then a variety of tax increases in a number of different areas in a number of different ways. And that's a non-starter for us to be raising taxes in all those various different ways. So we'll be focused on tax reform that lowers taxes for all taxpayers and continues to build Wisconsin tax policy in a direction that's good for the state overall and won't increase taxes.
Now, both sides also want to see some school funding increases, but again, there's disagreement how to get there. The governor set aside $2.6 billion for public schools. Is that too much?
Yeah, that's definitely too high. Certainly we'll figure out the right amount during the budget process, but there will be new investment in education. It's certainly a priority to invest and improve the education system throughout Wisconsin. We're also going to be looking, though, at opportunities to address the issues of the day. Reading is one that's certainly been highlighted recently, with the reading scores really low across the state, really, and especially even more so in some of the larger parts of the state. So we're going to look at initiatives to address the reading challenges in our schools, and I'm sure there'll be some investment in mental health, which is something the legislature has done for several budgets now. So those will be some key areas, and also we're going to continue to fight for parents to have involvement in their child's education, both for choice, to make the best choices that are right for their families, but also just to have better access and more involved, so that we're all working together, whether it be the schools, state government, or the family of those kids working together to improve our education system.
The governor also proposes to set aside 20% of sales tax for shared revenue. Is this one area where compromise is possible?
It's possible. Again, there are some similarities. The Republicans led on this issue for several months here. The governor has adopted some of the things we've been working on with local governments, but there's still some major differences in the details that are going to be pretty important. I think we're looking for sustainable funding for local governments so they can provide the necessary services that are certainly important in all of our communities, but it's not going to be the same old, same old. We're not, funding bad ideas of the past. We're going to focus on the future. There's going to need to be reforms and innovation that really move this forward if we're going to put significant sustainable funding for local governments in place.
Do you agree with the idea of providing some state funding to the Brewers organization, a franchise valued at over $1 billion, to help renovate American Family Field?
I think this is one where there's going to be a big discussion with a lot more information that needs to come out on the impact to the state and the region. Certainly, I think a lot of folks want to make sure the Brewers stay in Wisconsin and the Milwaukee region for a long time. But we need a lot more information on this and make sure that the plan that moves forward, if there is a plan, is in the best interest of the taxpayers of Wisconsin. And I think if the plan moves forward, it will have to improve from what the governor put forward.
Representative Bourne, thanks so much for the insight and the time here today.
Thanks for having me.